Without any further delay, I would like to invite the Director of IIT Madras and the Chairman of IITM Research Park, Professor Kamakoti Veeranathan, to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Vanakkam, brothers and sisters from all parts of the globe. A very, very hearty welcome to India, to Tamil Nadu, to Chennai, to IIT Madras Research Park for the first G20 Educational Working Group Seminar. Today, we are going to have 3 exciting sessions dedicated to the school education, the higher education and skill development. We have been provided inputs from different nations on what challenges and best practices that have been followed at these different places, and this gives us an unique opportunity for all of us to understand the best practices and the challenges so that we could work together looking forward to coming out with very effective solutions which will include all the best of all of us and also the challenges that we can collectively address. We have a Sustainable Development Goal 4 in front of us, which talks about quality, equitable education for all. We all dream that due to this efforts that had been in place for quite some time, we will now have a world where every child will be at least a graduate. With these noble thoughts, again I invite all of you to India, Tamil Nadu, Chennai and IIT Madras Research Park, and I am sure you will all have a very pleasant and rewarding stay at our place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Next, I invite the India Chair, Shri K. Sanjay Murthy, Secretary to the Department of Higher Education, for the inaugural address and giving his opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Vanakkam, Namaskar. Distinguished delegates from the G20 members and invited countries, our valued knowledge partners and international organizations, welcome to India and to this vibrant city of Chennai for the first meeting of the Education Working Group and the events associated with it. A warm welcome also to all the heads of institutions, faculty and teachers attending today's seminar. As many of you are aware, we will be organizing 4 meetings of the Education Working Group in the coming months. The Chennai meeting will be followed by meetings at Amritsar, Bhubaneswar and Pune. We have also identified 4 priority areas for deliberations. These include issues of foundational literacy and numeracy, tech-enabled learning, future of work, and research and innovation collaboration. A unique feature of all these meetings under India's G20 presidency is that we have decided for the first time to have seminars and exhibitions on each of the 4 priority areas, in addition to the deliberations under the working group. This gives us a chance to broad-base our discussions with enriching inputs from sector experts and from all members invited countries. The exhibition on the sidelines is aimed at making the sharing of best practices more tangible and hence more effective. We are very happy to start our engagement under the G20 Education Working Group with this seminar on the role of digital technology in education at IIT Madras. During the past few years, all the G20 member countries have made significant progress in expanding the use of digital technologies for improving access to quality education. All countries have also encountered challenges in the use of technology. In today's seminar, we will be sharing these initiatives as well as the challenges we have faced and look at ways in which we can collaborate to leverage technology further to achieve common educational targets. It is time now to harness our advances to improve learning outcomes, promote lifelong learning, narrow the persistent learning deficits, and respond to the common challenges each country faces in achieving SDG 4 targets. We hope this seminar will provide a platform for all of this. We hope it will help us identify strategies for improving the use of digital technologies to enhance the student learning opportunities and outcomes, including for our children with special needs share best practices, identify joint initiatives for leveraging digital technologies, and also areas for promoting research and academic collaboration among education institutions in the G20 member countries. The seminar will have a presentation on the use of digital technologies in education in the G20 and invited countries by the Director of IIT, Sri Kamakoti. This presentation has been compiled from the inputs provided by all our colleagues from member countries. This will be followed by 3 sessions on specific themes in a panel discussion format in which several of our distinguished delegates have been requested to speak. There will be an open question and answer session after each panel discussion, and I request all distinguished colleagues to participate actively in these discussions. The exhibition organized at this venue displays key initiatives of the G20 countries, international organizations, and various Indian organizations on digital and education initiatives. The objective is to enable and facilitate sharing of best practices and learnings from each other. I must thank my colleagues from G20 member countries and invited countries for sharing inputs for the seminar and participation in the exhibition. Today's seminar and exhibition are being hosted at IIT Madras, a premier education and research institution of India, which has excelled in the knowledge and innovation ecosystem. This leading innovator of technologies has achieved remarkable success in bringing together industry and academia to apply achievements in scientific knowledge and technologies to societal problems. Dear colleagues, this ancient city of Chennai has vibrant cultural elements and a bustling culinary scene. I am sure Chennai will offer you many thrilling experiences and fond memories to carry back home. I look forward to constructive and fruitful engagements with you and welcome you once again to the first Education Working Group seminar and meeting in Chennai. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. May I now request the delegates on the stage to take up the front seats. I now invite Professor Andrew Thangraj, Professor at IIT Madras and the coordinator of NPTEL Swayam program for the keynote address.
Hello everyone, a very warm welcome from my behalf. Really happy and honored and privileged to be here in front of all of you to talk about 2 digital technology interventions in Indian higher education that I've been a part of. And I'll describe this to you to the best of my ability, but you have to understand I'm an academic, I'm not much of a bureaucrat, so I'm going to use words and terms which maybe are okay, just please put up with me. So let me get started by just introducing you to the landscape of higher education in the country. Every year in India, more than 8.5 million students get into undergraduate education. That's a huge number. However, this is at a GER of only 27%. Only about 1/4 of the children of that age are getting into higher education, into undergraduate higher education today. We have a grand ambition of increasing this GER to 50%, maybe even 60%, 70%. That means this number could go to 16 million, 20 million, who knows. That kind of numbers we are looking at in the near future. Now, if you look a little closer at things like employability, one is a little bit, we need to be a little bit more careful because about 1 million out of this 8.5 million, 1 to 1.5 million gets into engineering school. Now engineering school is quite reasonable for education and employability, but then there's lots of studies that people do these days which says, even out of engineering school, maybe the graduates are not that skilled, maybe we need to focus on that. However, the bulk, a large bulk, goes into degrees that we call BA, BSc, BCom. Now, you can see that's a huge fraction, and people who come out of those degrees, employability is a huge challenge. Out of undergraduate, getting jobs after those degrees is not very common, and it's one of the big problems that this country faces today, particularly as we increase GER, that's going to stare at us in even bigger fashion. So this is one issue I want to bring your attention to in terms of the landscape, in terms of the large scale at which higher education happens in this country and how employability is something that one needs to focus on. If you look a little bit more close at the type of institutes we have, type of universities we have, type of colleges we have, into which this 8.5 million goes, where do they go every year? The topmost institutes in the country, the most premier institutes in the country, the most sought after dream institutions are no doubt the IITs. Every family has ambitions that their kid should be in an IIT. It's a matter of great prestige. These institutes are internationally well known, and for good reason. The teaching, learning practices, the peer group that you see in these institutions, and the way in which you get set for life with a degree from these institutions is amazing. So they have a great value, but on the flip side, the competition to enter into these institutes is really almost inhuman level of competition. Kids prepare from class 3 sometimes to get into these institutions. It's very hard, and it's also very costly. I'll talk a little bit more about the JEE, which admits students into these institutes. One important thing to note is these top institutes, what we call as institutes of national importance, about 135 of them, including 23 IITs, account for just 0.5% of total UG enrollments. So this is data a few years ago, but it's not changed dramatically from that point on. So these are the top institutes. Everybody wants to be here, but very few get to go there. Next come public universities and private universities. This is quite a slightly larger number. You can see the enrollments, 10 times the enrollments of IITs are in public universities. Private universities, hundreds of them across the country. Quite a few of them have solid quality, good brands. It does vary. It's not quite uniform, but then it's pretty good. A lot of people who get in here are quite happy with the education that they get. The brand is also pretty good. The private universities, particularly the deemed ones, end up being large in scale. They admit tens of thousands of people, but then they also end up being expensive because they have to take care of good campuses. It's quite expensive. The public universities are slightly cheaper, they're more affordable, but then there's competition to get in there as well. It's not very easy to get into the top public universities. I'm not talking about undergraduate education on campuses of public universities and private universities. That is these kind of numbers. The huge, vast majority ends up in places that we call colleges. About 83% of undergraduate enrollment today is in colleges. These colleges are sort of smaller institutions affiliated sometimes to a public university, attached to a public university. They may be autonomous, but then they are strictly regulated and come under the tight control of public universities. And you can see 83%, it's huge. A large majority ends up in these colleges, and here the quality varies very widely. Affordability varies. The government colleges, about 8,000 of them, are some of the cheapest in the country. They are there in the nooks and corners, and if you get in, you pay really very little money for your undergraduate education. There are very good private colleges all across the country. A lot of religious institutions run colleges. It's really varied. You should go out there and see some of our colleges. You'll see a wide variety, and quality does vary as well. You're not assured of the same type of syllabus, same type of career opportunities coming out of colleges, and clearly colleges form the huge bulk of the numbers. There are also open universities, but I don't want to talk too much about that because it's not still totally accepted in mainstream like in the other places. Now let's talk about how students get into these institutions. There's this big hierarchy of institutions I spoke about, most sought after, most aspirational, and then the colleges where everybody gets them. How do students get into it? How do you get admitted into it? That brings us into this huge problem of admission that we have in this country. Every year, you should just talk to parents and the kids who are passing out of class 12. It's a stressful situation in the family. Everybody gets worked up. Lots of things happen. Why is it that why does it happen? Why is it that this is a big problem? The first thing is, if you look a little bit closer at our school education, there's a lot of variety there. CBSE is a pretty popular board. It's a great board. It's got good reputation, but only a very small fraction of graduates out of class 12 come from this board. It's got very good reputation. CBSE schools, you can hardly go wrong with the kind of graduates who come out of CBSE school. But then a huge majority of our school graduates come out of state schools, various different states, and the variety there again is very, very different. So different schools have different states, have different type of school systems, different syllabi, different emphasis, different exams. It's very, very hard to normalize across them, compare across them. And so what ends up happening is, pretty much any competitive public university, IIT, has to rely on entrance exam. Otherwise, it's not legally okay to compare students and admit them using any other means. So we end up using entrance exams as our means. So is that the great thing? It turns out today, entrance exams are a celebrated part of our culture. JEE in particular, which admits students into IITs, is considered one of the most difficult exams in the world. About 1.2 million or so get into the JEE exam every year. Less than 20,000 get into the IITs. So it's one of the most selective exams. You should see some of the questions that are asked in the JEE advanced exam. It's very tough math and science problems at the level of 12th standard. So one can ask a lot of interesting questions. Are these students who are doing tough math and science problems the only type who are going to do well in life? These are all important questions to ask as well. Once the JEE culture is set, this has set the trend for every other entrance exam in the country. We rely on entrance exams so much more, and this causes tremendous stress in the families. Now, students prepare, they go to some towns, reside there, away from their families, and prepare for these entrance exams. There are documentaries made on this topic. You should go and watch some of these things. It's really, really hard to watch some of them. And just imagine if you're not in the top 20,000 out of 1.3 million, are you really a failure? I mean, if you end up being 50,000 out of the top 1.2 million, I think you're doing great. You should be celebrated as the great performer, but then you're declared a failure today in this country. And then you go through disappointment cycles, which are really, really tough to see. I do see some of these kids, they're really good students, very motivated, very capable, very skilled, but then they end up starting their lives and careers with the failure pasted on their foreheads. It's not really very nice. So what ends up happening is the last 2 points that I put up there. A lot of motivated, capable students. A lot of motivated, capable, good, solid, great students, right? If you're in the top 1 lakh out of some, 100,000 out of 1.5 million, you're a great student in my opinion. But they end up in places where they are not happy either, or there is no good fit. They feel like they've lost out on getting into IIT, or they get into a college and they're not doing that great. So what is the solution? In a situation like this, where maybe we cannot spend so much more of our GDP into education, we have our own limitations in expenditure. What do we do? How do we solve this problem? What is it that we can do positively to impact the lives of these students who end up in these various institutes and colleges, maybe lower than their capability? They're more capable, they're not getting what they want. One solution is to provide access. Now, if you just think of higher education in general, just from a high level, if you want to describe what is the most desirable aspect of higher education, I would put it down to 3 things. The first is universal access. Anyone who wants higher education desperately should get it, particularly the aspirational folks in the country who really need higher education to get better in life, get their families out of poverty. Universal access, absolutely important. Happy learners, while they are in college, they should enjoy learning. Learning is something that should be enjoyed, and this is something that sets you for life, right? Once you start enjoying learning, that's a fantastic thing about education. The third thing is skilled graduates. They should get out and get jobs. No point in getting a degree for the sake of having 2 letters at the end of your name. It should give you skills, it should give you jobs. You should be able to go out into the economy and contribute after that. So if you can do those things, you're doing fantastically well in higher education. And today, for a large majority of the people that we see, what we need to provide is access in this country at least to
to the top institutes. Access to top institutes for anyone who's motivated and willing to work hard is a fantastic way of approaching this problem. And both the interventions that I've been part of, the digital technology, online interventions, I want to say online with the personal connect. I'll talk about what that means. Two big projects that I've been part of. The first one is called NPTEL, the National Program on Technology Enhanced Learning. The URL is out there for you. The second one is a much more recent one, less than three years old. It's IIT Madras BS degree. Today, IIT Madras has opened its doors and it offers a BS degree to those who are motivated and who are willing to work hard. So these two programs, these two projects provide access to IITs for individual course certificates, access to IITM for an entire degree that you can get today from IITM. And both of these have won awards recently, the QS Reimagine Education Awards, the gold for lifelong learning and silver for best online program. Even before we graduated a single student, we become a best online program. So that's the awards we won. I'm really happy to describe both of these programs to you very briefly in the rest of this talk. A couple of things I want to point out. IITM today gives degrees without JEE. You get in, you show you can perform well, you get a degree. In such a situation, when you provide open access, how do you ensure rigor? How do you make sure that the brand is protected? How do you make sure that good skilled graduates come out and go out and get jobs? Those are difficult problems, isn't it? So this is what I'm going to try and focus on in the rest of this talk. So NPTEL is actually a very old project, more than 2 decades old. It started all the way back in 2003. It's funded completely by the Ministry of Education. I should thank the Ministry of Education for their steadfast support over the past 2 decades. It's a joint project of 7 IITs and IASC. So at that time, when this project started, there were only 7 IITs. There are 23 IITs today. 7 IITs and IASC Bangalore participated in this project. For a long time, NPTEL was recording, course content that happens in IITs, and it put it up on the portal and people were watching. Around 2010, when MOOCs became a big buzzword, NPTEL started doing MOOCs in the Indian context. So in 2014, we started a certification effort, and it still carries on. And if you look around the globe, there are various portals out there. NPTEL probably is not the most well known globally. We don't market our name that well. But then if in terms of content, we are really, really, really rich. There's more than 2,500 courses, 60,000 hours of video in engineering, technological, college course, curriculum-based content. I can easily say this is one of the leading portals in the world. You go to any grad school, you see serious graduate learners, they will be looking at NPTEL videos, and this includes countries like the US and Germany and France. Across the world, high quality learning happens on NPTEL portal today. So let me describe what is this NPTEL's unique way of doing certification with MOOC courses. Like I said, NPTEL opens the doors and provides access to IITs for anyone who's motivated and wants to learn, right? Open access provided if you are motivated, if you want to learn. How do we do it? We have a portal, swayam.gov.in, the National MOOCs portal of India, which is again supported by the ministry. So every semester we put up courses there. Anyone across the globe, not just in India, across the globe can simply log in, click on join, you're in the course. Any course you want to learn. In January 23, we have 665 courses up on this portal. Right now, you can go and log in and join any course that you want. Now, this runs like a MOOC. There's weekly assignments, forum, live sessions, exciting content, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. It goes on even for a longer time. This runs like a MOOC. But then we don't stop there. After that, you can register for an exam. So there's a small fee for it. Up until now, everything is free. But then after that, you have to pay a small fee. It's just 1,000 rupees, about $12 if you want me to convert. Okay? So you pay a small fee, and then you can show up and write an exam. Now, this exam is in centers across the country, physical centers with proctoring. That's sort of a picture where the exam happens. And if you write that exam in a center and if you pass, you get a certificate. And this certificate comes with the stamp and seal of the IITs and IAC and the top institutes that are running this course. Now, this over the past 8 years has become hugely successful and become part of mainstream higher education in the country through important policy measures and a very, very important personal connect program that we have launched. This is an important part. We have been able over the past 8 years to mainstream MOOCs in this country. I think very few countries have done this, and India has done this successfully through 2 important measures. The first one is local chapters. local chapters play a huge role. The colleges I spoke about have a representative who represents NPTEL in those colleges and becomes an ambassador for NPTEL in those colleges, provides that vital last-minute personal touch and connect to the students. So local chapters play a huge role in the success of NPTEL. In SWAYAM today, about 90% of exam registrations comes from local chapters. Okay, so that's one connect. It's very important. The next important piece is credit transfer. Today, more than 60-70% of the learners do our MOOC courses on NPTEL, write the exam, get their certificate, and guess what? That credit gets into their on-campus program. So they don't have to do that course in the campus. They do it online. They get credit for it. So this credit transfer policy, along with the local chapter program, has been a boon, and we've been able to mainstream MOOCs because of this kind of effort. Now, a couple of things I want to point out here. The last point is very important. A lot of people talk about effectiveness of MOOCs, how the completion rates are not that high. Look at our completion rates. If you just divide plainly by enrollments, we are at 20%. But enrollment is really a very bad figure to divide by in the denominator, because anybody can go click and join. If you just divide by number of people who submit the first week's assignment, we are at 50% completion rate. So correct policy along with correct implementation with the personal connect can lead to really very impressive completion rates. Now all these numbers are one thing. Let me just show you a few more numbers just to show you the scale at which NPTEL operates. Just July 22, if you look at the disciplines and the number of people who enrolled and number of people who wrote exams and number of people who got certified, it's really mind-boggling. Across engineering, humanities, social sciences, management, we have tens of thousands of people, 100,000 people getting certificates every semester. This is the scale at which we're able to operate across the country today, and I have pictures of so many people from different backgrounds, from companies, from small colleges, from IITs, from University of Oklahoma. So people across the world are using this mechanism to better themselves in education. Let me just introduce you to a couple of learners, two stories. There are so many hundreds of stories. I just had to pick two. First is Pamir Roy. He's from Arunachal Pradesh, way out there in the northeast. He did a UG in mechanical engineering. During his undergraduate days, he did 15 NPTEL certifications in the domain of AI and data science. And then after that, he did an internship at IITM with a computer science professor. Today, he runs a startup in Bangalore. Look at that story. It's just amazing for someone to be able to do that. And below that is another story of Akhila, who's from a small college in Hyderabad. She did just 2 NPTEL courses, topped both of them, got into an internship in IIT Kharagpur. Today, she's a PhD student at IISc Bangalore in computer science. Once again, a wonderful story. There are so many such uplifting stories. I can go on and on and on talking about people who've enjoyed NPTEL. There is an 83-year-old Sanskrit professor in IITM. She comes every semester to write exams, and she's learning German now. Right? So there are people who enjoy this program in so many different ways, whether or not it helps in their career or not. So that's NPTEL for you. Let me move on to the second intervention that I wanted to talk about. This is now IIT Madras. IIT Madras today, like I said, offers an undergraduate degree program in data science and applications. A large-scale, open admissions, but then, of course, we funnel our output in. I'll show you how we do that. And given our experience, rich experience in NPTEL, we've been able to leverage that and go out and offer a degree program today. And really, this is early days. We're just 3 years into this program. We have not yet graduated a single person, but then the buzz that this program has created is enormous. I just want to talk a little bit more about how that works. So let me just walk you through the program real quick. It's a bit of a dense slide, but it's important to understand. Out of 12th, we have 2 different pathways for admission. One is through JEE. Of course, we'll never give up JEE. But then there's also an inbuilt qualifier exam. You don't have to go to coaching. You don't have to do anything. You can come in, study with us, show that you are motivated, show that you're willing to work hard, show that you can really do well. You can get in. You can qualify within the program. Okay, that's very important. And then we break up the program into 3 different levels. We just don't throw everything at them in the beginning. We have a foundation level which brings up the basics for everybody. Like I said, it's open admissions, but then we want to funnel slowly down so that only the really skilled graduates are going to go out with the degree program. You do foundations first. If you're happy with foundations, that's good enough for you, you can exit with a certificate. Nobody's going to stop you. There is an exit, an intermediate exit that's available. On the other hand, you feel strong enough at the end of the foundation level, you can continue on to diploma. And diploma is where you really pick up the skills that are needed. So you can see how the education varies here. It's not like a typical undergraduate degree where you do your basics in the first and second year and then you start building up your skills later on. We give you the skills early, and data science is an area where you can do skills early. And then what this gives people is, if you are in financial need, you have to pick up the skills and quickly get a job, you can do that. Right after your diploma in programming, there are so many IT jobs that are available to you. After your diploma in data science, so many data science jobs that are available to you. So you build up the degree in a slightly different way, put skills before theory, a lot of interesting, exciting things becomes possible. So that's the diploma stage. At this point, you can exit with a diploma if you choose. On the other hand, if you choose to continue, if you do well enough, you choose to continue, there are 2 degree levels. You can earn a BSc degree, you can earn a 4-year BS degree today from IIT in this mode. A lot of interesting features. First of all, these are Senate approved, valid legal degrees from IIT Madras, and at the end, you become an alum of IIT. So IIT is willing to put its name and brand behind this program. So this is not an easy program. Let me also say that. It's a tough program. We're not going to make it easy for you. A lot of people think online equals easy. This is not easy. You should talk to some of our students. They'll tell you. But then, it is prestigious. We want to make it prestigious. We want to make sure that we give access and we add prestige to this degree as well. A lot of things that are important. Unlimited seats. Nobody hears this in this country, I can tell you. Unlimited seats. There's no seat limitation. You qualify, you get in, you're in, no problem. And look at the fee. The overall degree fee is less than $5,000. How is that possible? That's possible by online instruction. You can't avoid it. You want to put up a big campus, you want to have a fantastic place, costs are going to go to $50,000, $100,000. And that's not really affordable, but $5,000, look at that. You can give a complete degree at that point. We don't leave the students alone. Online means that you leave the students alone. No, we invest in teaching faculty, instructors, mentors who support these students extensively every week. Every class we teach, every term, there are 8 hours of live sessions that happen every week. So that kind of involvement is there, engagement is there. We make sure students stay connected. All exams are in person. Every month you have to go to a center near your house and write an exam in person. So the rigor is there, engagement is there, high quality content is there, prestige is there at the end of this degree, and this is without JEE. Today IITM offers this degree. How well are we doing here? Here are numbers just to show you what has happened. I want to remind you, we just started in Jan 2021. We are yet to graduate a full degree holder. People are making their way through the program. Like I said, foundation, diploma, degree, a lot of levels. They're making their way. Let me show you how the funneling is sort of working, right? So we have had so far about 100,000 applications, 93,000 applications. And the number of people who qualified is about 24,000, about 1/4, you know. Already there is that funneling that's slowly happening. The qualification is 1/4. And then out of that, about 20,000 started. Out of that, 17,000 are active today after nearly 3 years. Look at the retention of an online program. This doesn't happen easily, and we've made it happen. We've made it happen through engagement, involvement with our students. And look at the diversity. We're quite happy about the diversity. Maybe the female part can be a little bit higher, but then overall, age-wise, employment-wise, area-wise, diverse. Not that international yet, but fairly international. I want to show you the CGPA distribution. GPA distribution is important. It pretty much looks like an on-campus program if you look at GPA distribution. It's not easy to get high grades in our program, and you have to really work hard to make sure that you stay on. And so many thousands of people are able to work hard and stay on. And here is a little bit of a snapshot how students are progressing and a map across the country to show you people across the country are interested in this program. In fact, Bihar, you look at the density in Bihar. That's a bit rare, you know, to get into Bihar with a degree like this. We don't shortchange students on student life. This is an undergraduate program. We take student life very seriously. We put them into houses, groups, competitions, a lot of online events. There's also an on-campus cultural, social, sports event, which we call Paradox. Students came up with this name, Paradox. It's an online program, offline event. It's a paradox. So you should call it Paradox. Every year, thousands of students come into our country. You see a big picture, not country, and then to our campus, and have a big celebration of this program. You see that big picture with our director. I don't know if you can see our director there. So there's lots of students surrounding him. They come here. We have a huge celebration in May. In case you want to drop by, please let me know. I'm happy to invite you. This is a fantastic event to be a part of and see our students. So we celebrate this program as much as possible. Couple of BS learners I want you to meet. One is Viraj Sharma. He's from Jaipur, Rajasthan. Very ordinary family. He supports himself through his own work. And he tried for JEE, couldn't afford it. After a while, he dropped it. And then he ended up doing BSc Math in a local college there. Today, he's in our program. He's about to finish both diplomas. He has a CGPA of 9.9. Just look at the talent there, right? And look at how the JEE system and the way the entrance works is simply not going to find this guy. Okay, so we're able to find today. Here's another example, a completely different type of person. Sunita Nair, she was a mechanical engineer working for a long time. Then she took a career break for whatever family reason. And after 5 years, she comes out and sees the world is different today, right? She took up our program, studied in our program, came up to a diploma. Today, she's employed as a value engineer in a pretty big company. Again, a fantastic success story. I can show you stories like this that you won't believe. People from rural parts of UP who couldn't even dream of writing JEE, preparing for JEE are today in our program, and you should meet some of these students. Some of the most inspiring stories you'll ever see are there in our students. I can go on, this slide can go on and on forever, and this is a fantastic testament of how IITM is able to reach all these students. So let me conclude. First thing I want to say is huge thanks to our team. There's a big team across IITs and in IIT Madras, faculty and staff who support this program. Support from MOE, I have to support the Ministry of Education has been steadfast with us over the past 2.5 decades, supporting us through every single one of our efforts. I have to thank them. Of course, I have to thank IIT Madras and its administration for fantastic support. Let me just conclude with some thoughts. I think if more top institutions across the world, across the country, join us in this initiative, we are happy to help. We are happy to tell you what is it that we have learned, what are the tools and techniques we use for engagement, learning, how to reach out. This can provide the 3 cardinal objectives of higher education: universal access, happy learners, skilled graduates. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor Andrew. My sincere apologies for the inconvenience caused during the presentation. May I now request the stage management team to clear up the stage for the next presentation. Thank you very much. I once again invite our director, Professor Kamakoti Veeranathan, to the podium to deliver a speech on use of technologies by G20 members to provide accessible, inclusive, and equitable education. Over to you, sir.
A very good morning again to all of you. What I am trying to summarize in the next 30 minutes is based on the inputs that are provided by all the participating countries on different aspects of school education, higher education, and skill development. We see a lot of commonalities. I'll try to bring out the commonalities and also some of the challenges, and I believe that this could form the basis for the 3 sessions that are going to follow on what could be the point of discussion, the important points that need to be deliberated during those sessions. I think this will set the stage for that. With this very brief introduction, friends, the Sustainable Development Goal is of utmost importance, and all of us have this as a common goal, that is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Every one of us are aspiring to meet this goal at the earliest point of time, and while we aspire, we have a set of challenges and we also have certain solutions, and we would like to look into what are all the good solutions that we have across the planet in each one of our countries, and we will also look at some of the challenges that we face that we could address collectively. The objective of this presentation is to understand how each one of us are addressing the SDG 04 using digital technology. Where does digital technology actually play a role in meeting the Sustainable Development Goal challenges? And we will look at all the three verticals: school education, higher education, and skill development. And some of the important things that come up are the common issues that are mostly in the areas of policy, regulations, and the processes. Every country has its own policies and own set of regulations, and these two govern the processes. And we have certain challenges and also certain solutions. And finally, we look for a basket of global best practices, and we intend to collaborate to give the best for the future generation. What we did 2 months before, we sent a template to all the participating nations on what we could arrive at a common denominator regarding school education, higher education, and skill development. So these are some of the points. We requested name 1 or 2 major educational initiatives in the respective vertical, and technical details about the initiative, specifically on the issue of scalability. How do we, so one of the SDG 4 is to provide equitable access to quality education for all, and that our population is increasing. We have to reach quite a significant number of people. It's not just children, but we are also looking at future of work. We need to reskill people at regular intervals, and how the technology can be used for scalability. And we also asked for some very interesting platform features that could go as a best practice. We also asked for some of these experiences, specifically in the teacher learning processes through these initiatives, specifically looking at teacher-student interaction, student engagement, and most importantly, the evaluation process. And we also requested for some of the initiatives towards accessibility, inclusivity, and equity, and specifically on bridging the digital divide between the rural part of a country and the urban part, the accessibility to digital content, local language content, culturally responsive education, technologies for learners with special needs. So these are some of the very important points that we wanted to understand. And last but not the least, challenges and drawbacks. I take this opportunity to thank all the nations who have actually responded to this, and that forms the basis of my presentation here. Now I am splitting this presentation into 3 parts. We will look at the K-12 education, school education part to start with, then the higher education, and then the skill development. These are all the countries who had given us the feedback, and I am summarizing those feedback. From the United States, there is a national educational technology plan that had been released in 2017, and This plan basically looks at technology-enabled learning with emphasis on equity and opportunity to all, and also to close the digital divide. So they have very targeted programs like the National Education Technology Plan, the Digital Equity Education Roundtables, they call it DEAR, the Educational Technology Media and Materials for Individuals with Disabilities, which they call it as the eTech M2. So these are some of the interesting initiatives from the United States of America, and we look forward to some more details in the sessions that follow. From the United Kingdom, there has been a very strong emphasis on, on the school education, and also that they have a gigabit broadband program for which they have invested around 82 million pounds. And they also have courses in the classrooms, specifically they are looking at connectivity in some of the priority areas to basically bridge the digital divide. And there is an interesting effort on assistive technology pilot classrooms, and basically to train mainstream school staff to address people, students and children with disabilities. On the Australian side, there is a lot of emphasis on online resource. There are three key initiatives that we look at. One is the Online Resource Hub, which has three subparts: the Digital Technology Hub, the Matrix Hub, and the Library Hub. And then there's a National Lending Library, which is government funded, which supports delivery of AI, digital and emerging technology contents across the country, specifically tailor-made to the Australian curriculum. Looking at China, China has a high-quality education, free for rural areas, and there are common resource platforms. And they do have a program on National Smart Education Platform, which was constructed around COVID-19. China has constructed, during COVID-19 breakover, a number of around 44,000 class resources and given it free of cost, and these are upgraded in 2022. When we look at the European Union, again, the stress is on high quality, inclusive and accessible digital education. They've also looked at individual mobility and institutional cooperation across borders. And some of the important programs they have are the Digital Education Action Plan, DEEP, and Selfie, which is a self-access tools for schools. They are working towards an European education policy during 2025. Netherlands has a specific program for children who do not receive education, specifically due to physical, mental or home related reasons. And they also have an EDU-V program, which is government funded with an outlay of 35 million pounds. Now, these programs are on the digital end. They have a digital school, which is a virtual program, and they also have a national education lab for AI in addition to the EDU-V program. When we look at France, France has an interesting virtual voice assistant called Captain Kelly, which is used to teach English and also use AI in listening and speaking. And this tool is used as a complement to primary school teachers, not replacing them, but as a complement to the primary school teachers. When we look at Spain, they do have a new education law and curriculum to improve digital competence. They have around 240,000 classrooms that are covered under this program. And they are looking at plan for digitalization and digital competence of Spanish education system, and very seriously looking at bridging the digital divide and specifically the local language content and culturally responsive education. They do have a national education program to address these many facets of school education. When we look at South Africa, they have a Department of Basic Education and an AI public special schools with ICT equipment. So this program is basically, they have a resource, as we understand, that looks at digital technologies to basically enhance the school education part. They are looking at bridging the digital divide, and they have also local language content. Some of the important programs are the virtual classroom solution, the mobile network supported ICT resources, a central application service, and a TVET campus connection program called TCCP. Mauritius had an education reforms agenda 2016, where they had looked at seriously on the technology enabled learning, equity and accessibility. There are multiple programs here. One is the Early Digital Learning Program, the EDLP, in collaboration with India. So we are very happy about that. And then a student support program. And also there is a strong collaboration with NCERT India. Turkey has concentrating again on providing equal opportunities in education and improves technology in schools. They have improved accessibility, inclusivity, productivity, equity, measurability and quality are the main criteria for some of their educational initiatives. They have a VPN access, internet access program. They have a very stable network infrastructure and a teacher information network. Through the VPN access program, they have connected more than 14,320 schools, and they have a network infrastructure with connecting around 20,000 plus ICT labs. Indonesia, they have an emancipated teaching program, and they have around 2.3 million teachers are basically enrolled through this trainers program. Coming to India, we have our national education policy, which focuses on access, equity, quality, affordability and accountability. And we have multiple programs. The Swayam, which is study web of active learning by young and aspiring minds. The Summit, an university information management system. The Diksha, which is for the schools, is a digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing. Many of this we will discuss and debate during the sessions. Coming to the common and key challenges, there is a need for an overlapping responsibility, monitoring the outcomes and continuous improvement. These are some of the common challenges. Multiple languages and cultural diversity, resource allocation and resource management, scalability, and especially the post-COVID environment where there could have been a loss of learning, and how do we manage that. These are some of the basic, common and key challenges which can be part of our deliberations in respect to the school education. Now I move on to the higher education part. Some of the very interesting projects in the different countries, specifically when we start with United States of America, they have been using digital technologies for higher education, and one of the important things is that they have used blockchain as a pilot project. This basically includes guardianship identity, verifiable credentials, education credential digital wallet, transfer credit recognition system, and digital credential platform. This becomes extremely crucial when we look at education, where we could have an academic bank of credits, where student can access education across multiple universities, take the best and come out with one recognizable degree, right? So this blockchain gives you a very, very secure environment with lot more of verification on the academic credentials. I think this is a very interesting development when we would like to look at in great detail. United Kingdom, the higher education providers are autonomous here, and the Department of Education is not involved in digital initiatives as we understand from the slides, but they have a degree conversion program in AI to meet the growing demand. And they are funding scholarship for students from underrepresented backgrounds to undertake AI and data science conversion courses. And they also attract industry investments and reduce government investment. From Australia point of view, there is a regional university center program which looks at the tertiary education access in regional and remote areas and which uses significant amount of technology. And there is also an access for traditionally underrepresented like first in family, aboriginal with disability, etc. China has a smart education platform for higher education. They have 20 online programs, 20,000 high quality courses selected from 50,000 courses. Top professors and courses, they have the golden online classrooms. So the National Smart Education Program for Higher Education, enabled with big data, AI and other technologies, form some of China's initiatives. From the European Union, there is a Connecting European Facility CEF program which support individual mobility and institutional cooperation across borders. They have also a digital European student card, the Erasmus Plus without papers, and the framework for micro credentials. These are some of the technology related initiatives very specific to higher education from the European Union. When we look at Netherlands, there is a SURF program which basically talks about cooperative IT organization for Dutch higher education, a platform for knowledge sharing and workshop for innovation. These are some of the initiatives from Netherlands. They focus on open education APIs and information exchange for students along with infrastructures for micro-credentials. Looking at France, there's a Find My Master's Degree program, a unique digital platform to display master's degrees and a simplification of the relationship between students and universities using technology. Spain has a transformation of classroom in higher vocational training centers into stages of applied technology and entrepreneurship classrooms in vocational education and training. South Africa has an implementation of National Student Data Warehouse, comprehensive data to provide evidence of success of education system in meeting National Development Plan. And they also have looked at being accessible to all interested parties, provide positive feedback for curriculum revision and renewal from higher education to basic education. Mauritius has a technology-enabled learning project and open educational resources policy. This is a support from Commonwealth of Learning in the development of OER policy and continuity in learning and assessment in higher education ensured during COVID. Indonesia has a Kedai Reka platform where industry presents their challenges and academics can offer ideas. There are close to 9,700 industry partners registered and 12,900 ideas and solutions proposed in the last few years. India has multiple higher education institutions and centrally funded technical institutions. We have a national innovation and startup policy. We have continued the emphasis on STEM while embracing emerging technologies. We have a very, very strong emphasis on interdisciplinary courses. The BS Data Science program, as explained in the previous presentation. We have a very strong support for innovation to kindle entrepreneurship and the spirit to meet the vision of Atmanirbharta, which is self-sufficiency. All these have been highlighted in the national education policy of our country. So to sum up on the higher education side, these are the common and key challenges. One is most higher educational institutions are autonomous and need appropriate management to ensure equity and quality, and need to blend online and face-to-face teaching, limited access for people with disabilities that need to be addressed, responsive to changing labor market, cyber security and privacy concerns, and change management. These are common key challenges that we find across the nations, which could be part of our deliberations looking forward. Coming to the last part, namely the skill development. USA has an educator preparation program to prepare future teachers to be successful in new digital learning environments. And they prepare to thrive in digital learning environment, use technology for professional learning, applied frameworks to accelerate transformation, and improve expertise and increase collaboration. Now, from the Office of Educational Technology and International Society of Technology in Education, the ISTE and the OET, they conduct this educator preparation program, and then this is for ensuring digital equity and transformation network. From the UK, there is a Genet Computer Network, the UK's National Research and Education Network. They funding, there is a considerable amount of funding for skills and further education, and also they connect through the Janet, which also has a digital elevation tool for online self-assessment. Basically, reskilling is to be enabled at scale, and technology will be probably the only solution to arrive at that scale, because as we see with the growing industry 4.0, the different needs that come on a constant basis, these are some of the very interesting initiatives that can take us quickly reskill our people to meet the growing demands and to meet the changing demands from the industry. When we look at Australia, Australia has a digital skills organization, the DSO, established to engage with digital and tech industry to improve training to meet skill needs. The DSO developed digital skills platform model for are used for both skill assessment and also digital skill standards. So this is one of the important initiatives from the Australian side. China actually has the National Smart Education Platform on vocational education, specifically targeted to improve digital resources with real-time analysis and optimizing scheduling systems. They have around, again, 30,000 courses of various kinds, including 22,000 courses from 1,209 professional teaching resource libraries, 6,628 online courses, and 2,222 open video courses, 2,222. So this is the scale at which vocational education is addressed by China. EU has developing teaching and learning skills, which is a key pillar of DEEP, a program, Digital Education Action Plan. It also includes AI and data related skills as core skills in EU's digital competence framework. There is also a EU level targets are being set for students, specifically from the digital skill, and they also have technology intervention to boosting women participation, specifically in STEM disciplines. Netherlands has a digitalizing Simples. It's an initiative to make education more responsive to labor market and enhancing digital skills. They also set up a Center for Teaching and Learning and National Transformation Hub. France has PIX, a public online service for assessing, developing and certifying digital skills. It's based on the European Digital Competence Reference Framework, which has currently enrolled 6.5 million users and 1.7 million certificates have been taken. So they have an accessibility in English and compulsory national testing at the end of lower secondary school. These are some of the highlights of the France initiatives. From Spain, there are two categories, what they call as the A actions and the B actions in the strategic action plan dedicated towards skill development. There is a transformation of classrooms in higher vocational training centers into spaces of applied technology, and the entrepreneurship classrooms in vocational education and training, which form the very important aspects of the strategic plan. Under the A action plan, they have a target of 638 by Q4 of 2024, and they are also looking at 374 new 496 using funds of financial year 2020 and 457 classrooms, entrepreneurship classrooms in financial 2021. This basically shows the great importance Spain attaches to specifically vocational training and skill development. From South Africa, there is a national open learning system called NOLS, which provides high quality, accessible digital learning materials for e-learning opportunities, and it's free and online. Mauritius has a micro credential in the national qualification program, and they have a digital experiential learning in the polytechnics supported by the British Council. Turkey has mathematics education platform to support teaching and learning process with real content and related to daily life. They have an EBA digital education platform and applications, and a OBA teacher information network, which has 533 online courses and 22 professional communities benefiting out of that. Indonesia has again the emancipated campus platform. This is a platform which provides university students with thousands of opportunities outside of campus. The students can sign up to selected industry partners for semester-long internships and research, etc. This is from the skill development point of view. From India, we have the Ministry of Skill Development. We have multiple schemes like the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, the PMKVY, the India International Skill Centers, the Sankalp, which is skill acquisition and knowledge awareness for livelihood, the National Artificial Intelligence Translation Tool, which plays a crucial role in skill development, specifically from a multilingual perspective. We also have the National Internship Portal and Bhashini, which is again a AI-based translation tool, which translates from one language to many of our many of our official Indian languages. We also have specific programs on craftsman training, advanced vocational training, upgradation, entrepreneurship support, and funding support. Coming to the common and key challenges that we look at when we study all the countries, one thing is to have a program that is inclusive and relevant. And we also should address the weak economy and insufficient entrepreneurship to basically, what are the solutions for that to boost entrepreneurship in the country, and the need to help local economy, agile and effective instruments for skilling versus need of industry with the changing industry needs, and lack of motivation at various levels. How do we address that? Not just students, but teachers and implementing agencies. How do we address that and bring in the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship and the innovation for relearning and continuous lifelong learning? These are the common challenges that we see. So what I have tried to do is, we got these inputs from multiple countries. I've tried to summarize all, tried to bring some of the best initiatives in these countries, and also got some common denominator about the common and key challenges. This would, I believe, can become the part of our discussions in the 3 sessions that are going to follow on school education, higher education, and skill development. We are at Chennai, the birthplace of Thiruvalluvar, a celebrated Tamil poet, philosopher, and sage. The Tirukural that he has composed is a collection of couplets broadly on 3 topics, namely virtue, worth, wealth, and love. And it's a priceless guide for sustainable living. I will conclude my presentation with a couplet in Tirukural which goes, En enba enai, எழுத்தென்ப இவ்விரண்டும், கண் என்ப வாழும் உயிர்க்கு. It essentially means the numbers and alphabets are the 2 eyes through which one must see the world. Friends, we are looking at a sustainable development. The future generation must understand the wider world, and education is the only tool. Needless to mention that we will work together to give them the best. Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, one earth, one family, one future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Kamakoti, for bringing in the best practices around the world. Now, may I now request the stage management team to set up the stage for the next panel discussion.
Many of this overlapping responsibility, monitoring the outcomes and continuous improvement. These are some of the common challenges. Multiple languages and cultural diversity, resource allocation and resource management, and how do we manage that? These are some of the basic, common and key challenges which deliberations in respect to the school education. Important thing is that they have used blockchain as a pilot project. This basically includes guardianship, transfer credit recognition system and digital credential platform. This becomes extremely crucial where student can access education across multiple universities, take the best and come out, gives you a very, very secure environment with lot more of verification on the academic credentials. The higher education providers are autonomous here, and the Department of Education is not involved in digital initiatives as we understand, but they have a degree conversion program in AI to meet the growing demand, and they are funding scholarship for students from undergrad and data science conversion courses, and they also attract industry investments and reduce government investment in regional and remote areas, and which uses significant amount of technology. And China has a smart education platform for higher education. They have 20 online programs, 20,000 high quality courses selected from top professors and courses. They are the golden online classrooms. So the national smart cooperation across borders. They have also a digital European student card, the Erasmus Plus without papers, and the framework for micro credentials, platform to display master's degrees, and a simplification of the relationship between students and universities using technology. All interested parties provide positive feedback for curriculum revision and renewal from higher education to basic education. Mauritius as a technology-enabled learning, a support from Commonwealth of Learning in the development of OER policy and continuity in learning and assessment in higher, has a Cadoreka platform where industry presents their challenges and academics can offer ideas. There are close to 9,900 ideas and solutions proposed in the last few years. India has multiple higher education institutions and centrally smart education platform on vocational education, specifically targeted to improve digital resources with real-time analysis systems. They have around, again, 30,000 courses of various kinds